I would like to call to order this December 5th meeting of the Ascension Parish Council in Donaldsonville. Thank you all for being here. At this time, we will have Councilman Randy Cluot lead us in the prayer, and followed by the pledge. So if you'll stand and remain standing.
In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Dear Lord, we thank you for this day. Lord, we thank you for taking care of the people of Ascension and the Gulf South region and taking us through this hurricane season. Lord, we ask that you now, as we turn to the colder weather, that everyone look back and forth and look to the elderly and those in need. Take care of them. We ask that you take care of all the people that take care of the United States of America, the military, the police, the emergency and fire folks. We ask that you take care of them and their need and their families. Be with their families for those that cannot be with them through this holiday season. Lord, us with special intentions, we ask that you pray for Mr. Ray Hartley and his family, that we look down on his son who's been in a bad accident. We ask that you take care of that family. We also ask a special intention for the Frederick family of Santa Mar, for the passing of a beloved angel, Miss Eula Mae Frederick. We ask that you take them through this and bring them safe and bring them peace. We ask this in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Thank you very much. Gentleman, Councilman Dawson is absent. He is out of town. Everyone else is present. At this time, I do want to acknowledge that there are some councilmen-elect in the building. I have seen them here, there, and yonder. So I thought I saw Councilman Thomas, and I think well, there they are. Councilman Ogeron, Parish President-elect Quintma. Happy to have you all with us this evening. If anybody else is here and I'm not seeing you, please don't hesitate to speak up. Wonderful to have you with us. The chair is going to take a moment to acknowledge what is rather a bittersweet moment for me. I've had the pleasure for the last several years, 8 in some cases, 4 in others, to work with some wonderful gentlemen who I will tell you, as the only woman among them, their mamas would be proud of them. They are all gentlemen, and they have been amazing to work with. First, I'd like to acknowledge Councilman Oliver Joseph and his 13 years of service to Ascension Parish. Oliver, there is a plaque for you, and you need to go have your picture taken.
I think I spelled your name right. Yeah, you got it right. First time.
Can I take it out of the box, Oliver, and hold it up? That way you can't blame me for all the fingerprints on it.
Don't blame me.
Well, I guess the whole gang can get
Yeah, yes, indeed.
Beautiful.
Thank you very much. Almost sat back down. Thank you, Oliver, very much. It's been a pleasure to work with you.
I'd just like to say it's been a great opportunity to serve the people of Ascension Parish and District 1, and it's been an honor and pleasure doing it. You know, I look back and I did 22 years in the military service myself, did 13 years serving my community,
Thank you, sir. From District 4, Councilman Daniel Dox Adams. 8 years of service.
Very nice, very nice.
Wait up. Never miss an opportunity to get a job.
Everybody's gonna get their moment in the sun. Wonderful, thank you.
Couldn't we say comment out the window, right?
I take back what I said about him. Although,
Some of them.
some
One
of
of
them,
us.
one of them,
One of us.
and he remains with us. Doc, would you like to?
Sure. Never being bashful, it would be my pleasure to say thank you. It's been 8 wonderful years. It was a pleasure to be elected for 2 terms by the wonderful people in District 4 that I've served. I would indicate that it, might say that they were wise, but many of them might not feel that way. I am proud of the body of work that we've accomplished, and I want to emphasize the key personal pronoun there is we, along with my colleagues. I can tell you this is a tough job. None of us are anything without the help of all the rest of us around us. So it's been fun, it's been great. I wish the incumbents and the newcomers all the luck in the world, and Godspeed. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Representing District 6 for 12 years, Mr. Randy Kluwa.
Beauty.
Randy, real quick.
Wait a minute.
Is there a time limit on this?
No, sir, but
Put
you
1
gotta be
minute.
real quick.
Put 1 minute on the clock. 1 minute on the clock.
I just want to thank the people in District 6 for the opportunity to represent them and serve them. I've worked hard at it. Sometimes I was probably moving in the wrong direction, and they beat me up, and I'm moving in the right direction. So, from the edge of Sorrento, McRoy Swamp, AC, downtown Santa Maria, Duck Roost, Gold Place, Sealers Point, the lake area, all the way to the Port Vincent Bridge, nothing but good people. And I'm, once again, very proud to say that they let me represent them for this time. And I thank y'all, and I wish y'all luck, and I wish the new council moving forward, continue progress. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. Representing District 9 for 20 years, Mr. Todd. 20 years. Yes, Mr. Todd Lambert.
Beautiful, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Yeah, it's been a journey, 20 years. I started in 1996 as District 7 when I started. I think I've went through maybe 3 district changes for reproportionment and maybe 3 administrations. And former and present, it's been a blessing working with you guys. The staff, outstanding. I want to commend all the staff. Malcolm and his group with Bonds. He's been on board a long time. It's just been a very rewarding experience, and I want to thank all the people in District 7 at the time, 9. I'm kind of like Randy. I took some of his people. He took some of them back. So, and all good people are in this parish, and I love the parish, and I'm gonna still be with y'all. And the new guys coming on board, good luck, and keep fighting for the citizens. That's what we're here for, and I appreciate that.
Representing District 11 with 12 years of service, Benny Johnson.
Excellent, y'all finally figured out how to pose, huh? Lovely.
Benny?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And to the rest of the council members, it has been a pleasure for the 12 years serving with the different distinguished people that I've served with up here, as well as the folks that have done work for the parish during those years, the parish employees. Made some special friendships with people. Want to very much so thank the people of the District 11 that allowed me the opportunity to graciously represent them for the last 12 years. It's been a pleasure and an honor. I also want to thank my wife and my family for putting up with me through these last 12 years. And, you know, same thing with these guys up here. I can be hard-headed at times. We've had some interesting debates at times. But it's all for the good. We all get passionate about things, but the one thing that I will say with not only these folks here, but everybody that's been on the council for the past 12 years has been professional. It's not anything that anybody has taken and made it personal. And even though we have our disagreements outside or inside of this body, we typically keep them in-house, and we don't let them go outside. And whether it's up in Washington, D.C., or at the state capitol in Baton Rouge, we present a united front for the people of the parish that we represent. And while we haven't been able to accomplish everything, we've been able to accomplish a lot in the 12 years that I've been here. I'm appreciative for everybody that's helped us do that. Thank y'all very much.
Having served the parish for many more years than 4, but in his most recent capacity as our parish president, for 4 years of service, Mr. Kenny Matassel.
Thelma.
Should have got Thelma to stand with me, man.
Oh, that's nice, thank you. I'll take 2. He signs my paycheck. Thank you.
Well, Mr. Chairman and Councilman, I appreciate it very much. It's been a real pleasure working with you. I work with each one of you in your districts. And I mean, it's not one time any of you called on me, I didn't try to get it done or figure out how to get it done. But I know y'all feel the same as I do. It wasn't about us, it was about the people. And we went through in 16, in March, and then in August, we got flooded twice. We were under state of emergency twice. And that was nothing but a mess. But all of Cloudville got wiped out. You know, but they rebuilt. And here we are with the great parish of Ascension. That's what we do over here. We help people, and each and every one of you have helped everybody you could in your districts, because I know y'all asked for things because the people needed them. And I just want to thank y'all. I enjoyed working with each and every one of you. And I thank God for everything. My wife Selma, I know Mr. Johnson's the only one that mentioned the wives, but every one of y'all know what them wives do. And I know y'all in the same boat. So I appreciate it. And just join me in praying for the next 4 years, for the new administration and the new councilman. So thank God for Ascension Parish, and God bless us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all very much for allowing us to take the time out of our agenda to take care of those very important honors. Now we need to return to the agenda. Item number 4 is the public sign-in period. I would advise you that there are red and green cards on the white ones too?
White ones too, if you knew. We've got a card for you.
Okay. I didn't know that, Benny. When did you do that?
Cinnamon did that.
Cinnamon did that?
Yeah.
So we have cards up there. If you want to speak on a matter on the agenda of public interest, please feel free to fill out a card, get it to Cinnamon, she'll get it to me. There are some rules on the back of that card that you should take note of around public speaking, and we welcome hearing from you. We'll call on you at the appropriate time in the agenda, and you'll have 3 minutes. Mr. President, it's time for the parish president's report.
I went to my last meeting as parish president's meeting at the Port of Baton Rouge the other day. It just so happened they had a overturned truck and took me about an hour to get there going around. You know, it's already bad over there. But anyway, we were briefed from the colonel on the cyber attacks, and even though Ascension Parish didn't get attacked, I'm gonna bring O'Day up in a minute about things that happened to us. But like St. James could not do anything. They were totally shut down. They went in there and they redid his stuff and got everything back in line fairly quick for them. They have a really good team, and the governor has a really, really fine team. In fact, the colonel said that we're leading the states in the United States with our team. We have not paid one ransom so far to his knowledge. He knows governmentals haven't done it, but we're not sure about independence. But so anyway, we got the health unit back up with the WIC program and the shots, and everything is on the computer today. So it really it was everything we had on the contract with the state, but we got them. We got everything under control. I called the state and got them with O'Day, and that day they got them back together. So I want to bring Brandon up just to tell you what we do and what happened to Ascension. We had a couple payroll deals.
Good evening, Council. Like the parish president mentioned, we haven't been directly affected as far as our computer network here. We do rely on a number of state systems that were affected, and we've been working to get our access to those systems back up as quickly as possible. I got an email, or I saw an email today from the state that the state purchasing website was back up and running, and we now have access to those state contracts and whatnot. That's important for our purchasing department to be able to get to those. So and I'm sure you've seen it in the news, just like the parish president mentioned, the state was attacked with ransomware as well as our friends in St. James. This ransomware gets on your network. It usually comes in via an email. Somebody sends you an email, they're faking, they're trying to look like somebody else in this email, and they want you to click on something or open an attachment. You go and you do that, and that then installs something on your network that is called ransomware. They encrypt all the files on your network, and the only person that can decrypt them is the person that installed it, which is the bad guys in this case. So what we're doing here to prevent this type of thing, we've got software that runs on our computers that looks out for this type of thing. We've got appliances that sit on the edge of the network to check these emails that are coming in to try to verify whether or not they're malicious and with the attachments that they have and whatnot. So there's two additional things that the state is recommending that we do, and one of them we just finished. One is to get to get cybersecurity insurance. So we now have a $1 million policy for the parish that if we are attacked, this cybersecurity insurance will either A, help you pay the ransom, or B, if you decide not to pay the ransom, which the state is recommending you do not do, then it will help you recover from the attack, which means buying new hardware, paying consultants to come in, et cetera. So whenever the attackers have your information and it's encrypted, they then ask you to pay a certain amount of money. They want you to pay this money in digital currency, which is very hard to track. The popular one that everybody, that they're using is Bitcoin. I'm sure you've heard about it or seen it on the news. The issue is, if you pay this ransom, it's not guaranteed that they're going to unlock your files. So the state is recommending that for all government entities that this happens, that you do not pay these ransoms, and that you focus on recovering. You know, use your backups that you have. Use the local IT consultants that are around to help you build your network and your infrastructure back to where it was. So again, we've been very lucky up to this point. The one final thing that I wanted to mention that we're working on, hopefully in the next month or two we'll have in place, is a training plan for our employees. This is going to be for anybody that has a parish email account. We're going to have a training system in place that's going to help them look for and identify these types of phishing emails that's trying to get you to click on these things. There's even some software out there that the IT departments can create these phishing emails to test with, to send to the end users to see if they do click on it, and then it reports back and tells us if they do it. So that's a program that we're working on. All that being said, I'm feeling pretty safe and confident that we're in good shape right now, but I'm just encouraging you guys, all of our end users in the parish, and even the public to please stay vigilant when it comes to these things, okay? And if you guys have any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Any questions, gentlemen?
Yes.
Go right ahead. Mr. Lambert.
And I guess this is the price you pay for going paperless in the business world today.
That's correct.
But, you know, we're looking for backup plans here. I mean, you have to go back to paper as far as I'm concerned. We just can't shut down business all over the parish. So what are you doing to ensure that we're going to better continue?
If something was to occur, right. So we've spent a good bit of money in recent years. We've gotten grants through our grants department. We back up our data, and we have backup cycles. So there's certain amounts of data that we deem critical that gets backed up every hour. And then at the end of the day, those backups are sent off-site. They're sent off into the cloud service that we pay for, and the data goes to a data center in Atlanta that is then replicated to another data center in Texas. So we have these backups. The issue is how long it takes to recover, to go pull those backups back down and get that data back into our system so that we can turn them back on and we can operate. Depending on the system size, that then dictates how long it takes to get the systems back up. Email, we could probably get back up in a day. Email's fairly simple. It's all in one box, and like I said, we back up that one box. Something like our new ERP software that we have is quite large, and there's 5 servers, I think, total that host this ERP system. So that would take some time to get back up. Something that I'm hoping that we can do in coming years is to better test these backup systems. Now, in order for us to do a real test, we have to actually bring these systems down, which, you know, it's hard to bring down email, it's hard to bring down payroll and those types of things. But in the future, I would like to try to dedicate some time, maybe around a holiday or something, where we can bring these systems down and really fully test these backups and see how long it takes us to recover.
Sure. Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Johnson?
Brandon, you mentioned the training program earlier and testing, a robust training program as well as, fake emails, whatever you want to call them, that people would have to recognize as far as that program is key to making sure that program's around and everybody understands what to look for. That's the big key, is recognizing it ahead of time.
Right.
Before, when the email first pops up, not to click on anything and have it set up in a separate inbox, if you will, that deactivates all the attachments and everything to it from any outside sources, which is tough for government, but that's the trick that you face.
Yes,
Any
sir.
ideas on how you try to recognize that or do that?
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of research on that. There's a number of different online training systems that are out there. We actually subscribe to one right now called Knowledge City. They have courses that our end users can take. They're online-based courses. You take the course, it's maybe 45 minutes, and then at the end of it, it asks you a series of questions. It's not really a pass or fail, but we do get to go and look at the results to see, who got how many wrong and right and that type of thing. So that's part of it. But I think the other key thing is there's a piece of software out there that's called Know Before is the name of it, and it does what I mentioned earlier. It allows us to generate our own, we can go online and find out what email it was that went to St. James that they clicked on, and we can replicate that email and create it ourselves and make it look like it came from an outside source and send it to various parish employees to see what happens when they do click on it. So I think that's the testing side of it that we need to really pay attention to and focus our resources on, if you will.
Mr. Kulak?
Yeah, Brandon, it's quite rampant right now at work with our corporation. We've been through a lot of employee training on it, and I got a bunch of guys. We're not all computer experts.
Yes, sir.
We work, but we have to go back to the computer for emails or documents that are sent, things like that. Within our company, we got things that are formatted. The way we send documents, formatted on our email sign-off, our company logo, things like that. And the quickest reference to the short training is if somebody don't recognize.
Right.
If you don't recognize, look at the email address, not what's written down there. Go to, you can see what they sent you.
Sure.
And if it don't match exactly,
Yep.
and we have ways to check to
Right.
see if they're an employee. And
Yep.
and we got firewalls on top of firewalls.
Right.
Sometimes it's hard for the people that really want to send you something to get
Yeah.
in. You got to go ahead and get approval.
There's definitely a fine line there where, how much do you slow down productivity
Right.
to try to prevent this type of thing, and then, where's the other side of it? And we're trying to do all that. Like I said, we have these systems in place that are preventing as many of these emails as getting through as possible.
Right.
But it's that one that slips through where you need your educated end user to know not to click on it.
We have the fish click where I just,
Yep.
if it looks suspicious, I click on the fish.
Right.
They take it to IT.
And then
and
diagnose it.
If it's good, it comes back to
Sure.
us at some point. But everything that looks suspicious is going directly to our IT department.
Yes, sir.
Any other comments? Thank you, Brandon, so much for
Absolutely.
your...
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Now, the colonel said they can trace it where it's coming from, but to do something about it is another story. So they know it's coming from Russia, China, or the two main culprits, but so far there's nothing they can do. So anyway, that's what I have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Item number 6, the consent agenda. Cinnamon?
Approval of amendment number 7 to the master contract for general engineering consultant services, transportation master plan, development and implementation between HNTB and Ascension Parish government to renew the existing contract for an additional year beginning on 12/20/2019 through 12/20/2020 with a budgeted amount of $1,575,119 for the term of this contract. Resolution 2020 Unitary Plan to establish a capital improvements program for 2020, 2021, and 2022 as required by the state of Louisiana. Resolution Temporary Speed Limit Reduction for LA 930 until after construction is completed.
Thank you, Cinnamon. Does anyone wish to remove any item from the consent agenda? Are there any questions?
Motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Cluott. Chair would entertain a second. Second by Mr. Cagnalotti to approve the consent agenda. Are there any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Item number 7. Notice of consideration of action regarding calling an election to authorize the renewal of the levy and collection of an existing ad valorem tax for the purpose of maintaining and supporting a mental health program in the parish. Thursday, January 9th, 2020, at 6 p.m., Ascension Parish Courthouse, Donaldsonville. Mr. Dugas.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
This is a notice of consideration of action regarding ad valorem tax pursuant to Louisiana Revised Statute 42:19.1. Notice is hereby given that the Parish Council of the Parish of Ascension, State of Louisiana, will meet on Thursday, January 9th at 6 p.m. at the Donaldsonville Courthouse, 300 Homer Street, 2nd floor, Donaldsonville, Louisiana, at which time there will be consideration of action regarding calling an election to authorize a renewal of the levy and collection of an existing ad valorem tax for the purpose of maintaining and supporting a mental health program in the parish.
Thank
I
you,
just
Mr. Dugas.
need to read that for the record.
Thank you, sir.
No motion needed.
No, sir. Item number 8, a resolution to call an election to authorize the levy and collection of a 5.6 mil ad valorem tax for the purpose of maintaining and supporting the Ascension Parish Library and its branches. I'd like to introduce, if I may take just a moment, Mr. Dugas. I know that there are 2 members of the board, in fact, it's board chair and member of the board here tonight from the library board. Mr. Henry Shea-Snyder is here, Mr. Jay Lemon from here in Donaldsonville is here, and the director of Ascension Parish Libraries is also here. And if any of them would like to comment, you are welcome to do so. Henry, I see you moving. I want to mention it's been my pleasure to serve on the library board for the last couple of years, and I cannot tell you what an awesome group of people serve the people of Ascension Parish on their board, and they have a fine presence.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. The libraries are going to be asking for renewal and also reduction in our taxes. So what we currently have is 2 separate taxes right now, and we can combine them into one, but also as part of that combining, we're going to ask that our taxes be reduced by a mill. And we feel by reduction of a mill, they'll save the taxpayers about $1,432,000. The library operates right now currently with a budget of about $8.5 million, which sounds like a lot of money, and it certainly is. However, I just mentioned that, roughly over 50% of the budget is for salaries and maintenance and employees and benefits. So $4.5 million goes to pay the administration. $4.5 million goes to, $1.9 million goes to operations. $700,000 goes to capital outlay. $600,000 goes to a regular bond payment. And last year we had surplus funds, so we made an additional $1 million payment on our bond indebtedness. So the way the library board is working now, if we have any surplus funds available, we are earmarking that to pay off our bonds in an early manner. If anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer. Yes, sir.
Yes, do we have any update on the Santa Monica Library, when that's going to be built, before you give money back?
Yes, sir. We hired SSA consultants out of Baton Rouge to do a needs assessment. So they're completing that needs assessment and presented it to the library board at our last meeting. And part of that needs assessment, they recognized that the Santa Monica, we already bought the property in Santa Monica, and that we probably need to build a library in Santa Monica. What we have talked about with the parish, instead of building, big library buildings like we have in the past, to do something with a community endeavor where we maybe do something like a community center, where we have a library in it. We also have something maybe with the sheriff's department, something with parish government, where it serves like a community center for Santa Monica. So that's what we're working on to go forward with, and hopefully we'll hopefully start construction on that this year.
This year?
Yes, sir. Well, next year, 2020.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're pretty quick.
Yeah, 2020.
So, yeah, and I'm all for that. And I know we've been talking about it, but Jerry, about 2 years now.
2 years now.
Yes.
And, and I thank Angel for everything, and, so I'm good without being non-traditional library, you know?
Right, exactly.
I'm all right with a CC's Coffee and Internet Cafe. And,
Exactly.
you know,
And those are things we're certainly looking for.
we definitely want to make it sociable, you know? We got
Right.
a prime millennium just waiting for that.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Mr. Lawler.
I just want to tell the library board, thank y'all, kind of jumping into the future there, looking to cohabitate with whether it's the sheriff's office, fire department, making good use of our money. And most importantly, I mean, you know, to reduce it by 1 millage means a lot to all the people in the parish. You're gonna pay off the debt early, but also reduce the tax burden on people is something, you know, I've been a big proponent of that, and I'm glad y'all are doing it. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Henry.
Make that motion, Madam Chairman.
Let's let, Malcolm has to read it, and then you can, the chair.
Unfortunately, you have to listen to me just for another minute.
Go right ahead, Malcolm.
A resolution ordering calling a special election to be held in the parish of Ascension, state of Louisiana, the parish on Saturday, May 9th, 2020, for the purpose of authorizing the levy and collection of a 5.6 mills tax on assessed valuation of all properties subject to taxation in the parish for a period of 10 years for the purpose of maintaining and supporting the Ascension Parish Library and its branches, and further making application to the State Bond Commission for consent and authorization to hold aforesaid election, and further providing for other matters in connection therewith.
Motion.
I have a motion by Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Councilman Randy Cluott. Any questions? Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you, sir. Item number 9, presentation and approval to move forward with the design of the council chambers in the new courthouse at a not-to-exceed amount of $80,000. Mr. Gasper to feature.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson and members of the council. Back in March, a few months, well, near the very end of design of the courthouse, the council, I met with Councilman Dawson and Council Chairman Cazzo, and they asked of the possibility of incorporating a council chambers in the courthouse. And I hadn't given that a lot of thought. I went to Grace Hebert, and Jerry Hebert came up with a conceptual plan that's on the drawing before you now, and the council had the foresight to authorize us to go ahead and accommodate during the pile driving that was going on, the pile insertion that was going on at the time in April, to go ahead and incorporate piles and pile caps for the future possibility of that expansion. That would make it much simpler to do in the future. Whether this addition is done under this current contract, which is possible. I talked to the contractor today. If this were added to the contract, they would start in around April, and it would take about that time for Grace Hebert to do this design. Remember, under this contract, the contractor and the architect work together to come up with the most cost-effective design for this. Now, looking at so that you're oriented properly, when you're looking at this sheet, the green section is the addition to the existing courthouse. It's added on to the multi-purpose room, which is the only one-story portion of the courthouse. So we're talking about adding a one-story addition to the building. The top of that page is eastworthy. To the right, on the right side of that page, is the current admin building, and this is about 14 feet away, roughly, because the design is not completed. So I congratulate you for the foresight of making this a possibility, because it can go forward with the design, and I recommend that we go forward with the design of this, whether or not this is included into this contract or whether it's done at some later date. I roughly estimated the fee to be, or I recommended a fee of not to exceed $80,000 for Grace Hebert to begin this. They've done a conceptual drawing, and with your authorization would begin working on the design with the contractor to come up with the most cost-effective way to go forward.
A motion to approve.
I have a motion by Councilman Todd Lambert, a second by Councilman, there were several over there. I'm going to give it to Councilman Cagnolati. Does anyone have any comments or questions?
Yeah, I do.
Mr. Cluott.
Sir.
Jasper, thank you, man. I recommend whether it's closed, from the end of this council into the next council, that we move forward with this. I mean,
Well, it would certainly make sense while the contract is mobilized.
logistics,
Right.
yeah, for logistics, and I see they got the rear safeties built in and everything in isolation and all, just like they did the rest of the design of the courthouse for the judges' chambers and everyone else. And, the world's getting a little bit crazier every day, so.
It is. This, of course, allows for everyone to attend the council meeting to go through security. And it should be a concern, and it is. So, the council seating would probably double in size from what it currently is on the East Bank courtroom and certainly in this courthouse. So that would allow for a lot more citizens to sit, where sometimes we have standing room only meetings. It's very nicely done. I think Grace Aber did a very good job conceptually in putting this together.
It's 71 feet wide, so it's similar to this room right here. Thank you.
Sir.
Any other questions? Mr. Lawler?
You had mentioned the security aspects of it. Can you describe that a little bit?
Well, right now, as you know, although there are security measures that are used during court here, people attend your council meetings and don't go through security on either the East Bank or here. This would require, because the only entrance to the courthouse, to this chamber, would be through the front entrance of the courthouse. They would come down a corridor, have to go through security, come down the corridor, and come into this room. There's no conflict with court because your meetings are generally at 6 in the evening or so. There wouldn't be any conflicts with committee meetings either, for the most part, or in most cases.
Thank you. Jasper, you and I have shared more than one discussion about concern for security, especially, and the concern that at times, especially in Gonzales, that we are crowded. We don't have an opportunity for more people to be there and be comfortable. And I want to state that, as much as we are concerned about the security of the members of the council, we are equally concerned about the security of the people in the building.
Yeah,
because, someone who's not right and starts doing something inappropriate can injure councilmen, but they can also injure citizens. And we do not need to see that happen in Ascension Parish.
One thing I should point out that might not be clear to you, during the day when you're not meeting, there's a folding wall that closes off that space from the seating to the council seating area. And that room, that multi-purpose room, would ordinarily be used for jury pools during the day.
Thank you. Does the parish president-elect have a comment?
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, Council. Yeah, I just wanted to let everybody know I'm in full support of this particular project. It'll never be cheaper than it is today. With all the construction going on, if we ever choose to do this in the future, you're talking about, tearing up landscape, building construction while they're trying to hold court. And so there's never going to be a greater opportunity than now to do this, and it will never be as inexpensive as now to do it. So I'm in full support, and thank you for putting this on the agenda and moving forward with the design approval. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments, questions? Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Thank you, Gadsby, for your work on this.
Okay, on the next item is, we had put this in the budget because our mental health needs to expand and capital area human services need to expand. So we are renting space across the street, and it's a endeavor that they're going to pay half and we're going to pay half. And I have a gentleman that wants to talk on the matter. But as y'all know, as we increase citizens in Ascension, everything else goes up. And That means the capacity of, the mental health services, we need more, so that's what the space is for.
Thank you. Item number 10 is the approval of a cooperative endeavor agreement between the Parish of Ascension and Capital Area Human Services for sharing the Ascension Parish Mental Health East facility. And I believe that Mr. Stephen Aguilar has a comment.
Hi, thank you for letting me speak, Council.
Oh, you're quite welcome, sir.
I just want to give you a couple of pieces of information on Capital Area. Some of you may or may not know that. We have recently expanded into the parish. We've been in the parish for well over 40 years. Donaldsonville Mental Health, Gonzales Mental Health. Lawrence is the clinic manager of both of those. The school asked us to expand this year, so we're now in 5 schools, including Donaldsonville High, East Ascension High. We absorb the majority of aftercare clients that come out of St. James Hospital. We deal with very severe mental illness in the parish. A lot of times, the severe that nobody else wants to deal with comes through our clinics that we serve. And so, in order to continue, and in order to continue to serve the citizens here, we want to expand where we are, and we need the space in order to do that. When this goes through, we're looking at activating and bringing in more child services, and we've got a nurse practitioner that we're looking at bringing on over here full-time to do that, and then continue to expand with the school system. So, thank you.
Are there any questions? Mr. Kulak?
Yes, Stephen. What's your position? I mean,
I am the Mental Health Clinical Services Director of Capital Area.
good deal. I just want everybody to know. And real quick, so what's the, I know you kind of explained the deal, so what's the future look like for us? Are we looking at just needing a whole new place, or what?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to throw that out there, because that's what we've done in a lot of other departments. We've leased building here, leased building there, until, you know, and every now and then through a new building, we get the opportunity to bring everybody back together. And I think that that mental health is important. I think that part of our crime, part of our drug problem starts with some kind of, you know, mental issues that people, and a lot of it that they can be cured of. And I appreciate the work.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Make that motion to approve,
I have a motion by Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Councilman Randy Cluott to approve. Are there any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Thank you, gentlemen. Item number 11, cooperative endeavor agreement between the Parish of Ascension and Ascension Parish School Board for the extension of a car rider lane at the Galvez Primary School. Mr. President.
That is to try to keep more cars off the road and prevent wrecks and such. We're going to do it together with the school board.
Motion.
I have a motion by Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Councilman Cagnolati. And any questions?
Just a quick,
Mr. Lambert.
just want to thank our Transportation Committee and everyone, the parish president, also Mr. Chad Lynch. We had him several months back when they were trying to put all the schools together that were having some major problems with, I know Parker Road and a few other ones they looking, and hopefully we can work something with those. But I definitely appreciate this one on the Henderson Bayou. We definitely need this bad. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I do want to thank the school board and Chad Lynch myself. They were responsive to our concerns. The traffic was backing up on our roads, frustrating our citizens, and that, you know, these older schools just do not have the space to do the queue like you see at the new schools. And so we are going to work with them, and thank you, Mr. President, for your willingness to do that. I appreciate it. Are there any further questions? Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Item number 12, approval to increase the master contract for professional engineering, design, and related services, Move Ascension, for an additional $1 million, increasing the total contract amount from $10 million to a not-to-exceed amount of $11 million for additional task orders under the Move Ascension program. Mr. Enlow.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening. I wanted to apologize. I had this on the Transportation Committee as a budget amendment, and it needed a correction to a contract amendment. So this is to add $1 million to that contract of 11 consultants to do additional projects.
I have a motion by Mr. Benny Johnson, a second by Mr. Aaron Lawler. Are there any questions? Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Enlow, for all the work going on with Move Ascension.
Thank you.
Item number 13, under introduction of ordinances. Introduction of an ordinance to dedicate a 35-foot drainage servitude to revoke a portion of an existing 17-foot drainage servitude running along the western property line of Tract 1, owned by David Lewis Jr. of the former Randy Simpson property, moved to council via UDC 17.4050B2A.
Motion to introduce.
Have a motion by Mr. Todd Lambert to introduce. Item number 14, introduction of an ordinance to revoke 5 feet of an existing 15-foot servitude running along the eastern property line of 63-A, owned by Joseph Cascio Jr. of the Prairie Oaks Part 2 subdivision. Property moved to the council via UDC 17.4050B2A.
Motion.
Have a motion by Mr. Cagnolotti to introduce. Item number 15, introduction of an ordinance to authorize the parish of Ascension to purchase and otherwise acquire certain parcels, right-of-ways, and/or servitudes for the Tiggy Duplessis Road Safety Widening Program, LA 621 Duplessis Road Project. Transportation Committee recommended.
Motion to introduce.
Have a motion by Councilman Todd Lambert to introduce. Public hearing. Item number 16, reading of an ordinance to declare equipment in the IT department as surplus. Mr. Parrington.
To declare surplus and authorize the sale and/or transfer of miscellaneous movable equipment, whereas the parish of Ascension has certain assets that are surplus and no longer viable to retain, whereas these assets no longer serve or have any public purpose, whereas the parish of Ascension desires to declare said assets as surplus and provide for sale or transfer the same. Whereas be it ordained by the Ascension Parish Council, acting in its capacity as the governing authority, that hereby declares the existing assets attached to made Fort Hill Road Exhibit A as surplus and authorizes the sale and transfer the same. And if any portion of any ordinance has ever held invalid or unconstitutional for any reason by any court of competent jurisdiction over it, such portion shall be deemed separate, distinct, and independent provisions, shall not affect the validity of remaining portions of the ordinance. This ordinance shall be in full effect as permitted by law. The ordinance has been submitted to a vote. The vote thereon was as follows.
Motion open public hearing. Second.
Motion by Councilman Benny Johnson, second by Councilman Todd Lambert to open public hearing.
Motion to close.
Have a motion by Councilman
Second.
John Cagnolotti, second by Councilman Todd Lambert to close the public hearing. Motion by Councilman Benny Johnson to move the ordinance. Second by Mr. Cagnolotti. Are there any questions? Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Item number 19, reading of an ordinance to acquire a parcel of property for fire protection, Fire District 3. Mr. Parrington.
To acquire a parcel of removable property for the parish government for a price of $250,000 for the purpose of fire protection. Be it ordained, the Ascension Parish Governing Authority authorizes the purchase of a parcel of property situated in the parish of Ascension, more fully described as follows. Lot 2A, Bluff Road, located Township 9 South, Range 3 East, Section 15, being that shown on a map showing re-subdivision of lots 1, 2, 3, and 4 of the Olga Landry Estate into lots 1A and lots 2A, section located in Section 15, Township 9 South, Range 2 East, Ascension Parish, Louisiana, by the Ascension Parish Fire District Number 3, by McClin Taylor, Inc., Engineering and Land Surveying. The 2-acre parcel will begin at the intersection of Bluff Road and Crestview Estates, Tract A, and will continue approximately 234 feet along Bluff Road to the front of the corners of lots 1 and 2. The newly formed lot will be as deep as needed to form a 2-acre rectangular shaped parcel. This ordinance is being adopted in conformity with Section 601 of the Ascension Parish Charter. The purpose of the property is subject to approval of the parish attorney by contingent upon the seller being able to deliver a purchasable title. Kenny Matassa is authorized to sign any document on behalf of the parish. This ordinance has been submitted to a vote. The vote thereon was as follows.
Open public comment.
I would like to take just a second, if I may, to acknowledge that Fire District 3 Chief Stewart and his right hand over there, Chief Carpenter, are both here tonight. We thank you for being here. And then the chair will entertain that motion. Mr. Satterley has the motion to open the public hearing. Mr. Cagnolotti, second.
Motion to close.
Second. I have a motion by Mr. Satterly, a second by Mr. Dempsey Lambert to close the public hearing.
Move the ordinance.
Motion by Councilman Satterly, a second by Councilman Benny Johnson to move the ordinance. Are there any questions? Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Congratulations, Chief.
Terry,
Yes, sir.
I'd just like to add, I received an email the other day from one of my constituents who had an issue with a neighbor's grandmother. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but a line from the email said the fire department came first and they were amazing. So, great job. Y'all really made
Congratulations.
somebody's life there.
Item number 22, reading of an ordinance to accept the donation of a sewer system, Oaks on 30, LLC. Mr. Parrington.
To accept the donation of a parcel of movable property from Mike D. Vincenti Jr., known as Oaks on 30 LLC and Oaks on 32 LLC wastewater treatment plant located at 36340 Louisiana Highway 30, Gonzales, Louisiana. Whereas Ascension Parish government desires to encourage and promote development and growth of the parish-wide sewer system in Ascension Parish. Whereas Mike D. Vincenti Jr. is the record owner of a certain tract of land located at 36340 Louisiana Highway 30, Gonzales, Louisiana, including a sewer treatment plant and collection system. Whereas the parish of Ascension Ascension Parish government hereby desires to accept the donation of parcel of property, servitudes, and rights of ways, and authorize the parish president to do whatever necessary to enter negotiations to acquire said property. Now therefore be it ordained, the Ascension Parish governing authority authorizes the acceptance of a parcel of property known as Oaks on 30 LLC and Oaks on 32 LLC treatment plant parcel 10-A-1-2 as shown on the map showing re-subdivision of block 10A1 of the Ascension Parish Commercial Park into 10A1-1 and 10A1-2, prepared by Pan American Engineers LLC, professional land survey, and more fully described in Exhibit A attached here to and made a part hereof. This ordinance is being adopted in conformity with Section 601 of the Ascension Parish Charter. The ordinance has been submitted to a vote. The vote thereon was as follows.
Open public comment.
I have a motion by Mr. Satterly, a second by Mr. Todd Lambert to open public hearing.
Motion to close.
Motion by Mr. Satterly, second by Mr. Cagney to close the public hearing.
Move the ordinance.
Motion by Mr. Satterly, second by Mr. Kluot to move the ordinance.
Mr. Lambert.
Was Mr. Lambert, Mr. Todd Lambert to move the ordinance. Any questions? Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Item number 25, reading of an ordinance to amend Chapter 13, occupational licenses, taxes and regulations, to add Article 13, disadvantaged businesses of the Ascension Parish Code of Ordinances. Mr. Parrington.
To amend Chapter 13, occupational license, taxes, and regulations to add Article 13, disadvantaged businesses of the Ascension Parish Code of Ordinances. Whereas Section 602, enactment of an ordinance permits the parish to make an amended ordinance as may deem necessary for the proper and good government, order, protection of persons and property, preservation of public health, safety, and welfare of the parish and its inhabitants. Whereas the parish council and the parish of Ascension desire to amend Chapter 13, occupational license, taxes, and regulations to add Article 13, disadvantaged businesses of the Ascension Parish Code of Ordinances. Now therefore be it ordained by the Ascension Parish governing authority of the parish of Ascension, State of Louisiana, Chapter 13 be amended as more fully described in Exhibit A attached hereto and made a part hereof. If any section, subsection, sentence, clause, phrase, or portion of the ordinance is for any reason held invalid or unconstitutional by any court of federal or state agency or competent jurisdiction, such portion shall be deemed separate, distinct, and independent provision, and such holding shall not affect the validity of remaining portions hereof. The ordinance shall be in full effect as submitted by law. The ordinance submitted to a vote. The vote thereon was as follows.
Motion to open public hearing.
I have a motion by Councilman Kluot to open, and second by Councilman
Motion to
Benny
close.
Johnson to open public hearing. Motion by Councilman Oliver Joseph, second by Councilman Cagney to close the public hearing.
Motion approved.
I have a motion by Councilman Oliver Joseph, second by Councilman Randy Kluot to move the ordinance. Any questions? Mr. Joseph.
No question, just a comment. I just want to thank this council for this. It's been a long mission of mine, and this parish is one, out of the 64 parish, we are the 5th one to do this in the state of Louisiana. And that gives our citizens, small business in Ascension Parish, an opportunity to get some of these jobs, contracts that we have coming up in the future. We're talking about over $2 billion worth of work. So that gives our tax dollars to return it back to our businesses right here in Ascension Parish. So once again, I want to compliment this council for passing this here tonight. Thank you, that's all.
Thank you, sir. Are there any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Item number 28, reading of an ordinance. To amend an ordinance adopted on August 16, 2018, amending Section 16-1 of the Ascension Parish Code of Ordinances adopted by the Ascension Parish Council on June 20th, 1996, adopting a pay classification plan. Mr. Parrington.
To amend an ordinance adopted on August 16, 2018, amending Section 16-1 of the Ascension Parish Code of Ordinances adopted by the Ascension Parish Council on June 20th, 1996, adopting a pay classification plan. Whereas the Parish of Ascension through the Ascension Parish Council in the lawful session passed an ordinance adopting an official pay classification plan. Whereas the original ordinance established a uniform system for reimbursing, promoting, and classifying Ascension Parish personnel. Whereas the plan was last amended on August 16, 2018, is in need of further revision. Whereas the Human Resources Director has prepared a new and improved pay plan. Whereas the Parish President has accepted this revised plan and proposed said plan to the Parish Council for review. Now therefore be it ordained by the Ascension Parish Council, does hereby authorize the amendment proposed by the Human Resources Department and submitted by the Parish President, attached to it, made a part hereof as Exhibit A. This exhibit is available for review at the Office of the Ascension Parish Human Resources Department. The ordinance shall be in full effect, submitted by law. The ordinance has been submitted or vote thereon was as follows.
I have a motion by Councilman Benny Johnson,
Motion to
second by
close.
Councilman Todd Lambert, to open the public hearing. Motion by Councilman Oliver
Second.
Joseph, second by Councilman Randy Cluett, to close the public hearing. Motion by Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Councilman John Cagnolati, move the ordinance. Are there any questions? Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Item number 31 is an executive session.
Motion to go into executive session.
I have a motion by Councilman John Cagnolati, second by Councilman Randy Cluett, Todd Lambert, to go into executive session. Roll call, Madam Secretary.
Councilman Joseph?
Yes.
Councilman Turner?
Yes.
Councilman Satterlee?
No.
Councilman Dempsey Lambert?
Yes.
Councilman Cluett?
Yes.
Councilman Lawler?
Yes.
Councilman Todd Lambert?
Yes.
Councilman Cagnolati?
Yes.
Councilman Benny Johnson?
Yes.
Chairwoman Cassidy?
The chair would like to remind the council that we will be going into executive session for item number 31. We will have to come back out and convene and then go back into executive session for item number 32. I apologize if that was not clear.
Madam Chairwoman?
Yes.
I would like to, change my vote for 31. I thought we were going both together.
No,
Now that
sir.
you made that clear, I will attend the first half of executive session.
You're quite welcome to change
Thank
your
you.
vote. Thank you, sir. Mr. Satterlee votes yes.
That's why we live in America.
motion and a second to reconvene.
Spine diagnostic.
At this time, the council will, gentlemen, we have reconvened. I got this one.
Going to Everville now.
At this time, we have reconvened, and the chair will now address item number 32, which is...
I'd like to make a motion.
We will, oh, look, we need a motion on item 31. Mr. Lawler.
But
I have a motion by Mr. Dempsey Lambert, a second by Mr. Lawler.
we have to state the motion.
State the motion, Mr. Lambert.
We will let legal take care of the,
There you go. Speak those words, Mr. Lambert.
on the vehicle. Yes, sir, correct. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Now, the chair will entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Motion.
Have a motion by Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Councilman John Cagnolati.
Councilman
Roll
Joseph.
call.
Yes.
Councilman Turner.
Yes.
Councilman Satterlee.
No.
Councilman Dempsey Lambert.
Yes.
Councilman Kluwat.
Yes.
Councilman Lawler.
Yes.
Councilman Todd Lambert.
Yes.
Councilman Cagnolati.
Yes.
Councilman Johnson.
Yes.
Chairwoman Casso.
Yes. Much.
Motion to adjourn.
So, for what might be the last time for some of you, with the exception of a special meeting.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas,
and
everybody.
motion to adjourn. I would like to remind the public that there will be a special meeting of the Ascension Parish Council on Tuesday, December 16th, in order to take up the issue of Ascension Parish sewer.
I'm David Mitchell.
Thank you.
Never mentioned.